Guys, how you doing? So today we're going to be watching this doll thing, this creepy doll thing, oh well. And please please subscribe. You know, do what you can. Yeah, so let's watch this.
Stories whispered that they could move on their own, and even whisper. In the dead of night, my best friend, Emma, and I loved visiting the shop after school. One day, Mr. Grayson gifted Emma a beautiful porcelain doll with striking blue eyes. She named it Lily and took it everywhere. But soon after, strange things began to happen. Emma would hear faint giggles at night, and Lily would be...
Hold on, wait. Giggles at night. Seriously, strange things. Giggles at night. Because to be honest, I think I'm pretty sure. Oh, it says real on it. Real. Anyway, let's keep on watching it. This is ridiculous, to be fair. Ridiculous. I just get that sorted. There we go.
Different places around her room. One evening, Emma called me, terrified. Lily moved on her own, she whispered. I rushed to her house, determined to uncover the truth. We decided to stay up all night and watch the doll. At midnight, the room grew cold, and we heard a soft, eerie voice. Lily wants to play, it said. We watched in horror.
Lily wants to play.
Turned towards us, her eyes gleaming with a sinister light. Panicking, we tried to leave, but the door wouldn't budge. The doll stood up, slowly walking towards us.
Okay, the door wouldn't budge, oh my.
And ran to Mr. Grayson's shop, demanding answers. The old man's face turned pale. I've been cursed, he admitted. Years ago, I used forbidden techniques to give my dolls a spark of life, but it went wrong. Now, they're possessed by restless spirits, seeking revenge. He took Lily from us and promised to end the curse. We watched as he burned the doll, its eyes glinting malevolently. Even as it melted, the room filled with anguished screams, and then silence. Emma and I never spoke of that night again. The toy shop closed, and Mr. Grayson disappeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear. If you ever come across a doll...
Okay, guys, I think I know what happened. Dolls killed him. Yes, the dolls killed him. Of course the dolls killed him. To be fair, I have literally goosebumps on me right now. I'm not even gonna push up. It's only like 2 minutes long, so we'll keep watching it. It's only like 10 more seconds of it, and then we'll watch something else. Hopefully, it's not too scary. If you're like a kid or like a baby or something, please turn this off. Might not be for you. So, yeah. Anyway.
Be real. Remember our story and beware. Some toys are better left untouched.
I want school horror ones, or whatever you want to watch. I don't know what we should watch next. Oh, I know. Her hair grows. Is what she is. Part 2. I'll try and get part 1, but let's go.
But not all things in this world can be explained.
Okay.
Now, even if you are a big believer in science,
Yeah.
I have to warn you, before watching this video, it'd be best to sprinkle a ring of salt around you, maybe burn some sage, because we're about to investigate phenomena that defy all logic. From dolls that grow human hair to shape-shifting masks that steal souls. Hold those wars of protection close as we take a look at yet more of the world's most cursed objects that scientists can't explain.
Oh my. Okay.
Valley of the Dolls. Many people find dolls cute, but I would argue there's literally nothing creepier.
Yeah, seriously, I don't like dolls either. They're creepy.
This doll was won by 12-year-old Leroy Bland at a Kentucky carnival in 1910. The doll is creepy enough with its cracked porcelain face and unsettling blood-red smile, but its story only got darker when, in 1914, the First World War broke out. Leroy's mother knitted Jimmy its own soldier uniform to honor all the brave young men serving in the war. Little did she know that World War I would become one of the most deadly conflicts in all of history, with a casualty toll estimated between 15 to 22 million.
Whoa.
Yeah, little Jimmy here became a pretty dark talisman, but he just looks creepy. Whereas I've got two real-life stories of truly cursed dolls. And it'll be up to you to decide which of these disturbing dolls deserves the title of Most Cursed Toy. Are you ready? First up, we have this 3-foot-tall doll dressed in a sailor suit. Looks innocent enough, right? Well, wait until you've heard its full twisted tale. It's more than 117 years old, and is presently on display at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. But before he came to the museum in 1994, he was the property of Gene Otto, who was gifted the handmade doll as a child. Gene named the doll Robert, and quickly became attached to his new toy. Until one night, Gene woke up to find Robert sat at the edge of his bed. Moments later, his mother was awakened by the sound of Gene's screams and furniture being thrown around the room. When she finally opened the door, the bedroom was a mess and Gene was crying. When she asked Gene what happened, he pointed at the doll, still at the foot of the bed, and said, "Robert did it." This would become Gene's catchphrase whenever something was broken or went missing in their home.
Guys, wait, let me hold on. That's serious. Something is wrong. If you have any good stories, comment down below. Send it to me. I'm on Snapchat as well, so please go to my Snapchat. Sorry, Anna. Yeah. To be fair, this is kind of creepy. Like, who would do that? And especially more creepier when there's a clock. 2 clocks beside each other. Who deciding that anyway? So just, yeah.
Their way out of trouble, or so Gene's parents thought. They soon began witnessing other supernatural phenomenon, claiming they often heard their son upstairs talking to the doll, before hearing a different voice respond. There were also reports of the sound of a demented giggling, and visitors spotted Robert running up the stairs. Despite these spooky accounts, Robert continued to live with Gene, and eventually, as Gene grew out of his doll phase, Robert was stored away in a trunk in the attic. But children in the street claimed they saw Robert staring out at them from the attic window. It felt like he was watching, always watching.
Okay, this is just an ad. Anyway, like, you do that, seriously, guys. It's all shit.
He swore he would disappear and reappear without any explanation, and so kids began avoiding the house altogether. Gene sadly passed away in 1974, and when new owners moved into the house, their young daughter was delighted to find Robert in the attic. But this soon took a bad turn, as their daughter began to claim that the doll was trying to hurt her. They dismissed the kids' claims as an overactive imagination. But soon they began to notice Robert moved around the house even when no one was home. And even visitors noticed his blank expression seemed to change when anyone badmouthed his previous owner, Gene. Eventually, after one too many inexplicable occurrences, Robert was donated to the museum where he resides to this day. Now, locals believe that it was actually the maid of the Otto family who gifted Gene the doll, and having been treated badly by the family, cursed it with dark magic as revenge. However, no records have been found to prove this. And scientists can't accurately test or prove the claims
True.
of this mischievous doll, as they were all from eyewitness statements. though many people swear their photos are ruined if they ever try to take selfies with Robert without his permission. Despite his supposedly wicked nature, Robert has become something of a celebrity. He receives fan letters from across the globe and has more than 1,000 Facebook friends. Oof, kinda embarrassing to know I have less friends than a haunted doll. While Robert's cursed story might leave you feeling uneasy, there are dolls out there with an even more hair-raising past. And for this next one, we need to hop across the globe to Japan and rewind all the way back to 1918. It was here that a young man named Ikichi Suzuki was traveling through northern Japan when he saw a small 16-inch tall doll dressed.
Yo, what was his name? Darwin Donishi? What? How? What the? Guys, like, he would name someone that. Seriously, he would name someone that. Plus, it's even worse when a doll's hair grows. My hair grew because I'm a human hobby, and everyone's hair is grown. But a doll hair grew. Let's keep on watching and find out what happened.
In a kimono for sale. Without a second thought, he bought the doll. And when he got
Come in a
home,
second.
gifted it to his 2-year-old sister, Kikiko. The little girl
What?
loved the doll so much, she decided to name it after herself, calling it Okika.
No.
However, a year later, Japan was overrun with yellow fever, an infectious and deadly disease that resulted in many fatalities,
What time is it?
including poor Kikiko.
What time
The
is it?
family buried her and put the doll in their family's shrine. A common practice in many Japanese households.
It's okay, I
to
know
commemorate
what
the
time
dead.
it is.
The family would regularly pay their respects to the doll
Anyway.
in honor of their daughter. But one day, when he opened the shrine, Akichi noticed something unbelievably strange. When he bought the doll, it had a neat little shoulder-length bob haircut. But now, the doll's hair was much longer. It had grown into a shaggy mess that reached down to its knees. Unable to explain what was happening, the
Reach
family
down
cut the
to
doll's
its
hair and
knees.
placed it back in the shrine. But when they opened the shrine again, its hair had grown back.
Oh.
No matter how much they cut Okiku's hair, it wouldn't be long before it required another terrifying trim. Unable to explain what was happening, the family soon began to believe that the spirit of their daughter was living inside the doll. In 1938, they made the difficult decision to move to another district, but they decided against taking the Okiku doll with them, as they feared that whatever fueled this hair-growing magic relied on a close proximity to their daughter's grave. And so, the family requested their local temple take care of the doll. Okiku is now housed in a private shrine in the Monenji Temple in Hokkaido, Japan, and locals claim that Okiku's hair continues to grow, with the monks of the temple apparently still having to trim the doll's hair to this day. Now, I think it's important to note that during the first half of the 20th century, many parts of Japan were pre-industrial and rural, where folklore was rife. Local legends were told of evil spirits and creatures harassing normal folk, and dolls in particular were regarded as powerful instruments of magic.
Did
So
you
what
guys
we see
just see
here
that?
may just
The
be a local
doll
legend.
and
What's really freaky is that the hair has
there,
been tested, and
blink.
it was found to be real human hair. Like the story wasn't freaky enough already. Was someone perhaps changing Okiku's hair out somehow? And if so, why? Now under the protection of the monks that served the shrine, with all photography of the doll presently prohibited, scientists may never be able to determine exactly where this hair is coming from, or if this tale is even real. One thing's for sure though, don't mess with dolls. Which of these dolls creeped you out the most? For Robert, hit that subscribe button. And for Okiku, hit that like button.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Now let me introduce you to some other cursed objects.
Please
that defy
like and
this
subscribe.
Briefly chair. This is the Busby Scoop Chair. Looks like a pretty ordinary chair, right? Well, it's been permanently nailed to this wall, purposefully out of reach of any butts that might accidentally sit on it. But why? Well, Thomas Busby, after whom the chair was named, was actually a criminal who operated in North Yorkshire, England back in 1702. He ran a coin counterfeiting business with his father-in-law. flooding the market with fake currency. And after an argument between the two got violent, Thomas ended up slaying his father-in-law. There are several variations on what happens next, but one claims Thomas was drunk in his favorite inn, sat in his favorite old oak chair when officers came to arrest him. Before they took him away, he blankly uttered, "May death come to anyone who dares sit in my chair." Some very choice last words indeed. His lifeless body was exhibited on the gibbet, or stoop, that stood at the crossroads where the inn was, which would later inspire its name change. The villagers didn't think much of it at first, but then slowly they realized that some who chose to sit in the chair didn't live for much longer. One of the most dramatic stories from 1894 concerned a chimney sweep. Drinking at the inn, he decided to sit in Busby's chair and was found dead the following morning. Soon after, an apprentice challenged his co-worker to tempt the chair's curse, a bet he soon came to regret as the co-worker died shortly after. What's more, many of the young soldiers who sat in the chair before going off to fight in World War II never returned from the battlefield. It was only in the 1970s, after a delivery driver sat in the chair and perished in a crash a few hours later, that the landlord decided to be rid of the 300-year-old curse. And
Okay, so that's a bit creepy, to be honest. Like, we felt creepy. Ever since that chair dies. Imagine we go and see that one day. It'd be pretty cool. I would probably film it as well. There you go.
donated the chair to the Thirsk Museum. Today, it can be seen pinned to the wall, eternally reserved for Thomas Busby, and well out of reach of anyone who might try to perch on it. Now, it's important to note that there have never been any official records linking the timeline of the victims sitting in the chair and their demises. It's practically all hearsay. Moreover, a furniture expert believes, on the basis of the design and wood used, that the chair in the museum was actually made in 1840, 138 years after Thomas Busby was executed. So the only definitive way to prove whether or not the Bubsy stoop chair is cursed is to take a seat. Unsurprisingly, no scientist has been bold enough to try. Toxic masculinity. Have you ever heard the phrase, "turn that frown upside down"?
Yes.
Well, Japanese no masks do that literally. A no mask is a traditional wooden mask used in Japanese theater, specially carved to represent either a smiling face or a frowning face, depending on the angle that the mask is viewed. If you tilt your head downwards while wearing the mask, it appears more joyful or relieved. But if the mask is tilted upwards, you'll seem depressed or sad. However, only trained actors are allowed to wear these masks, because a cursed legend haunts their very existence. According to folklore dating back to the 14th century, no masks have the ability to absorb negative emotions such as anger, hostility, or jealousy. The mask then creates its own evil identity, draining away the life force of the one wearing it. The legend even states that the mask will remain on the person even after their body begins to rot. That is to say, the mask will possess the dead body to search for its next victim. Though this is all just Japanese folklore, it's a legend scientists have never been able to riddle the truth out of. So where did such a sinister curse even come from? It might be linked to how wearing a mask affects one's behavior, as being anonymous psychologically empowers people to do things they might not ordinarily do. But being anonymous and being a possessed husk of a human are two very different things. Even so, one thing's for sure. These masks are 10 times scarier than the ones we're all used to wearing. Under pressure. They say that diamonds are a girl's best friend, but it turns out black diamonds are a girl's waking nightmare. Unlike colorless diamonds, natural black diamonds contain trace amounts of graphite within them, which give the stones a solid black coloring. And there's perhaps no more stunning specimen than the huge 67.5 carat black Orlov diamond, although it was once even more stunning at a colossal 195 carats. It was discovered in 19th century India, where it was stolen by a greedy Jesuit cleric from a statue of Brahma, the Hindu god of creation. The jewel is officially known as the Eye of Brahma, who apparently did not take kindly to his eye being stolen. A catastrophic curse followed in the wake of all those who came into contact with the Black Diamond. An eye for an eye, as they say. Following the Diamond's Western World Tour left a trail of destruction, akin to an assassin skilled at making members of the upper class meet highly mysterious ends. Its new owner then supposedly tried to break the curse by splitting the diamond into three, before having one of the gems, what we now know as the Black Orlov, recut and set into a necklace, which sold for $352,000 back in 2006. However, skepticism has been cast on this so-called curse. Whether this is a case of incredible coincidence or complete fabrication, I don't think anyone's keen to wear that big black diamond anytime soon. However, the Black Orlov isn't the only gem stolen from India with a curse set upon it. This jewel is tellingly named the Cursed Amethyst. Sounds pretty apt until you learn it's actually a purple sapphire. The legend of this stone begins back in 1857, when cavalryman Colonel W. Ferris is said to have brought the amethyst to England after it was stolen out of a sacred temple of Indra. And just like the other stones stolen from an Indian temple, it soon took its revenge. The colonel's health rapidly deteriorated, and he went bankrupt. After his son inherited the stone, the same fate befell him. Then, in 1890, Edward Heron Allen received the stone, and almost immediately, he too was plagued by disasters. He quickly re-gifted the stone to a friend who was a singer, but she suddenly lost her voice after receiving it. Finally, desperate to be rid of it, Edward threw it into the Regent's Canal. Yet, 3 months later, the stone was rescued from the canal by a dredger, who sold it to a dealer who recognized the gem and returned it to Edward. He became so paranoid about the stone that he packed it away in 7 boxes before locking it inside a bank safe. Edward eventually declared the safe could only be opened 3 years after his death, which happened in 1943. The stone was then donated to the British Museum, with a warning note from Edward listing its history of evil. Today, the stone remains locked up in the vault of the Natural History Museum in London, where it's forbidden to touch. Now, the rational part of me wants to believe this is nothing more than a string of incredible coincidences.
Thank you guys for watching this with me. Just to let you know, never watch scary stuff, guys. Please, give you nightmares. Like, subscribe, have a good day. See you guys. 1, 2, 3.